retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Yeah, we ran out of patience. Boil up with the cold hard hatred. I can feel the vibration. In the streets, it's a new sensation. I wanna break faces on the pavement. I wanna make greatness look complacent. Adrenaline awakened, I can taste it. We can make an impact, grab and then taste it. Like a disease, bring them to their knees. Takes a thing to see. Just like the weed.
It is December 29th, 2024, and it's 61 degrees out here in New Jersey. I swear to God that this weather is so goddamn unhealthy, and Mother Nature, she's fucking with us right now. She really is fucking with us right now. And the more that she fucks with us like this, I am telling you right now, the more and more people are going to get sick. I cannot wait until the fucking winter's over. After New Year's, I am fucking petitioning to Mother Nature to have summer come early. I cannot stand this shit. The bipolar fucking weather, at least in the summer, the temperature range stays somewhat normal for the summertime. Sometimes you get 70-degree days, sometimes you get 80-degree days. But in fucking December, after a fucking rainfall last night, 61 degrees today. Unbelievable. But regardless of all that, regardless of Mother Nature's inability to decide what fucking season we're living in, I am still live on this wonderful Sunday. On Sunday, the Lord rested because DJ Storm said, "Don't worry, big guy, I got this." And as per usual, ladies and gentlemen, I am the one and only DJ Storms. I'd like to welcome each and every single one of you to the final stream of 2024. As of course, you already know who I am, Mr. Controversy, and the operator of the Best Damn X, formerly known as Twitter, handle known to mankind, and this is the official rewind for AEW Worlds End 2024, which of course streamed live on Triller TV and all local pay-per-view cable providers last night. Main show started at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. They were live from the Edition Financial Arena in Orlando, Florida, which they pretty much sold out. It was actually a very, very, very packed crowd. And for the most part, the crowd was very good. We certainly have a lot to get into. Before we are going to get into what we're going to get into, thank you very much, one and all, for a great year. You guys definitely made this year one of the most memorable years for the DJ Storms brand, especially with the creation of Battle in the Borough. Very, very happy that I got to do that show. And trust me, we'll be doing plenty more. I'm actually meeting with someone in about a couple weeks to discuss the inner workings of a potential business partnership, and hopefully we'll be able to start up the process for the show sooner rather than later. But that is, of course, next year. We are going to close out the year with a bang with the rewind. As per usual, please make sure that you follow me on social media at HistoryMakerDJS. One more time, that is at HistoryMakerDJS, both on X and Instagram. You can also add me on my personal Facebook for collaborations and business inquiries. Please send me an email. My email is, of course, StormsTakeOver@gmail.com. You can also like the official DJ Storms business page, and I made you send you an invite to join the official DJ Storms posse group on Facebook. That is, all those links are in the description of this very stream. If you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Rumble, we're live on Rumble right now. We're going to build a nice solid fan base over there. So if you're watching me on Rumble, follow the channel over on Rumble and be sure to share the stream out Got to share the stream out. Got to get the Rumble stream out there because the world of Rumble needs some DJ Storms in their life. Of course, please make sure that you hit the like button no matter where you're watching it from. Share the stream out on all platforms, social media, because everyone needs a dose of DJ Shizzle Dizzle because it's a known fact that I make people's lives better. I didn't make the rules. Yes, I did. In addition to that, I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend, the final weekend of 2024. Let me know what your goals are for 2025. I know what my goals are. My goals are to continue to be the absolute best wrestling analyst that I can be. Obviously, to meet some new people, do some new projects, have a good time, start to live in the moment more. That's what I plan on doing in 2025. If you guys haven't already done so, if you're watching on YouTube, of course, you got to hit the subscribe button. It is incredibly vital that you do so. You got to hit the subscribe button and, of course, hit that notifications bell with a huge coup de grace because that way you are going to know whenever I pop up on YouTube. Because whenever I pop up on YouTube, oh, baby, you already know it is the absolute best motherfucking time to be on YouTube. It is the only time that you are going to get to see this glorious sideburn chin strap combination and this beautiful mustache right here. And of course, get your DJ Storms merch if you haven't already done so. If you missed Christmas, you can get some people late Christmas gifts, or you could start your new year off right with DJ Storms wristbands, with DJ Storms t-shirts, and of course, the greatest piece of merch that you will ever own, the DJ Storms switchblade comb. And just like me, you could be so good. You could be scrumptious. You could be tasty. You could be the most delicious snack in the IWC. And just like everybody wants a piece of the Stormsmeister, everybody's going to want a piece of you. Look at how fucking good my pompadour looks. Look at that shit. Look at it. Oh my God, it's amazing. I think I may have to get a haircut next week, though. It's getting a little too long. By the way, shout out to the Pro Wrestling Magic crew. I had a great time at Pro Wrestling Magic Kingdom Come 9 yesterday afternoon. Shout out to Front Row Mafia, Bob Culture, Ashley Stevie. Shout out to Steve Off for putting on a great show. Shout out to Bruno. Gotta love Bruno. Very, very happy to be associated with the big man Bruno. Shout out to Mateo Marcelos and, of course, Alex Ryman for putting on a great fucking main event last night. And, of course, I am looking forward to even more great material in 2025, especially with all the great wrestling shows that we got coming to us. If you haven't already done so, please make sure you hit the super chats, the super stickers, the super thanks, and, of course, become a member of the channel. That way, you'll be able to support your boy. You'll be able to support the greatest man that has ever walked the face of God's green earth. And you are going to get some great content from yours truly, because every single time that we stream on YouTube, we always bring in the house down. And also, I'd like to thank each and every single one of you who tuned into the rundown for AEW Worlds End this past Thursday. We also went over my top 10 matches of 2024 with some honorable mentions. So if you guys would like to see the top 10 matches with some honorable mentions, please go and check out the rundown for AEW Worlds End. That was streaming this past Thursday, the day after Christmas. Now then, AEW Worlds End. It is officially in the books. And we got some stuff that we need to talk about here. Let me pop a cough drop. The lingering cough is still there, but I believe that's because I had some pizza and some chicken pot stickers for lunch. They were fantastic, though. World's End. Very mixed reviews. What's the deal with World's End? I'm always fair, and I'm going to be fair here too. Was it a bad show? No. It was a very good show. It was a very good wrestling show. From a wrestling perspective, we had a lot of great material on the show. The crowd brought the energy for the majority of the night. And from start to finish, the show was actually very, very well paced for the most part. It ended by 11:35, 11:37. So we were pretty much done. We were pretty much done with everything well before midnight, which I was very, very happy to see. And if anything, the 8-match format, maybe even a 7-match format, that should be the norm for AEW pay-per-views going forward. They should not be loading up the show with so many goddamn fucking matches. So I really do hope that going forward, they continue to do the 7 to 8 match format on the main show, because that right there, that kept the show from feeling like it was going on for 12 fucking hours. However, from a wrestling perspective, it was very good, but I have been talking about what they really need to do from a structure perspective, from an organization perspective, and from a substance perspective as well. I think we're going to add another thing that AEW needs to focus on, and that is direction. I'm not saying that we need to predict everything. I'm not saying that wrestling needs to come off super predictable to a point where there's no surprises at all. However, the vibe from Worlds End, the vibe for Worlds End for AEW going into 2025, while it was a very good wrestling show, it gave off a vibe of directionless. And that's a fucking problem. When it comes to a pro wrestling company, you never want to take it week by week. Unless you're some rinky-dink indie company that no one's ever fucking heard about. When it comes to a big deal wrestling company, whether it be WWE, AEW, TNA, New Japan, Ring of Honor, you want to have a good sense of direction. I'm not saying you need to have plans 5 years in advance, even though that's probably something that I would do. But if you don't have at least a 6-month plan, 7-month plan, an 8-month plan for the majority of your roster, and you're just taking it week by week, that's a fucking problem. And if anything, they gave off a very WWE-like feel when it comes to direction. I don't mean to pivot here, but this right here, it just stuck out to me like a sore thumb. AEW at World's End, it feels like the only direction that they have is for their main event level stars. Who does that remind you of? I have been complaining left, right, and center about WWE this year, even though they've been putting on better shows. And I'm very, very fair when it comes to the WWE and when it comes to AEW. When it comes to the WWE, they've been putting on better shows than they were 6, 7, 8 years ago. That is a fact. However, the one problem that WWE has had, and it still is prominent under the Triple H administration, they don't put any effort. They do not have any long-term plans for anyone unless it's one of their established stars. Unless it's Rhea Ripley, unless it's Drew McIntyre, unless it's Cody Rhodes, unless it's Becky Lynch, unless it's Charlotte Flair, unless it's Roman Reigns, unless it's CM Punk, unless it's Seth Rollins. We'll take it week by week, and we'll use you when we use you. Think about it. So many people that watch WWE, they always say, oh, Cody Rhodes stands out. Oh, CM Punk stands out. Oh, Braun Breaker stands out. Oh, you got Kevin Owens standing out right now. All these guys standing out. You know why they're standing out? It's because WWE is putting all the effort into them and no effort into 95% of their roster. Why does CM Punk stand out? Because they don't put any effort into Andrade. Why does Cody Rhodes stand out? Because they don't put any effort into Carmelo Hayes. Why does Rhea Ripley stand out? Because they don't put any effort into Candice LeRae. Why does Becky Lynch stand out? Because they don't put any effort into Dakota Kai. Why does Roman Reigns stand out? Because they have fed everyone to Roman Reigns for nearly 4 straight years to a point where everyone feels less than Roman Reigns. So if you're wondering why so many people stand out in WWE, it's because they don't put any effort into anyone else. I'm not saying that you need to make Cody Rhodes feel less than, or you need to make Roman Reigns feel less than, but if you put at least 20%, 25% of the effort that you put into Cody Rhodes, if you put that into a Carmelo Hayes or an Andrade, or hell, fucking DIY, or the Street Profits, people like that, then the whole roster would feel more credible for it. But they're not doing that. That's the vibe that I got from AEW, and you don't want that vibe. Unless your name is Jon Moxley, Adam Copeland, Kenny Omega, Mercedes Moné, Kazuchika Okada, Will Ospreay. They're relying way too much on Will Ospreay. I love that guy, and I want to see that guy succeed. Anytime Will Ospreay is wrestling in a match, it automatically becomes a better match, but they are relying way too much on Will Ospreay. A couple of these matches had the wrong outcome. 2 of these matches on the show felt rushed. The whole Death Rider, I mean, don't even get me started on the fucking Death Riders thing. The Death Riders just ain't working. It's not working. I'm sorry. And it's not even their fault. It's not even their fault. I wouldn't even go so far as to say that it's all on Tony Khan. I would go so far as to say that people are just burnt out from Jon Moxley. We all love Jon Moxley. We all respect Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley showcased to us with AEW that he was underutilized and undervalued in the WWE. But whatever the fuck Jon Moxley's doing right now, it's not working. And I actually have a lot to say about Jon Moxley when we get to the main event, because Jon Moxley, he's been looking fucking weak as of lately. He has not been looking like a badass whatsoever. And I'll explain what I mean. And I have a picture-perfect analogy that I know a lot of people are going to understand. Then you got the Continental Classic. 3 very good matches. 2 semifinals, 1 final in the Continental Classic. And even though I kind of predicted this would happen, it didn't come off as big as it should be, because AEW, when it comes down to it, just like what WWE's been doing, AEW is only putting effort into their main event, top-tier, established-level stars. Kyle Fletcher would have benefited greatly from winning the entire fucking tournament. Out of everyone, Kyle Fletcher would have been the best fucking outcome. I know I predicted Okada, but after I saw what transpired, I can't sit here and say that Okada winning was the best possible scenario. Especially considering that they could easily build up the match that they're building up right now without the Continental Championship. So many individuals on AEW's roster right now, they have no direction. Konosuke Takeshita, where's he going? Powerhouse Hobbs, where's he going? Chris Statlander, where's she going? Thunder Rosa, where's she going? Adam Cole, where's she going? I don't even know where the fuck MJF is going. Adam Copeland seems to be the guy that's going to be going after Jon Moxley. Realistically, MJF should be fighting for the World Championship, unless they're going to have MJF finish out the feud with Daniel Garcia. He beat Daniel Garcia back in September. Garcia is the TNT champion. Maybe MJF's going to make a claim for the TNT title or some shit like that. I don't know. A lot of people on AEW's roster and WWE's roster too. It's not just one company. AEW is now slipping into that same trap that WWE slipped into. They are putting effort into only their top tier stars, and they're neglecting everyone else that's underneath Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada and Adam Copeland and Christian Cage and Jon Moxley. people like that. That's not right. That should not be a thing whatsoever. I don't give a fuck what you're trying to do. I don't give a fuck who you have high hopes for or who you don't. You should not neglect anyone on your roster and only focus on the top tier main event stars. You need to build the future. You need to build the future. Where's Private Party going? Where's Daniel Garcia going? They're champions. Where the fuck are they going? A very good wrestling show. No doubt about it. But the direction, the lack of direction, the lack of substance, the lack of structure that the company has going into 2025, it's not really giving off that good of a vibe. And yes, they're doing smaller arenas now. People have been saying, oh yeah, you need to start doing smaller arenas for the weekly shows. You know, that's great and all. That's great and all, and I'm glad that we're going to get more intimate settings, and I'm glad that we're going to start seeing, smaller arenas, and the crowd's going to be more lively, and the sound's going to bounce off the walls and shit like that. I'm happy about that. But what problem is that really fixing? I've been talking about a problem that's completely separate from structure and direction and substance, and it has everything to do with fucking marketing. Why does WWE sell out, but AEW doesn't when they run the bigger arenas for the weekly shows? Marketing. It has everything to do with marketing. And I will always revert back to the build to WrestleMania 40. Whether you like it or not, this is a fucking fact. The build to WrestleMania 40 was dog shit. Dwayne Johnson hogged up the entire build and nothing else felt important. Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch didn't feel as important as it should have. Io Sky and Bayley didn't feel as important as it should have. Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre didn't feel as important as it should have. Even Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes took a back seat so Dwayne Johnson could be the final boss and hype up this tag team match at WrestleMania 40 night number 1. But they sold out all their shows. They took up multiple segments. You had The Rock go 45 minutes at the beginning of SmackDown and the rest of the show felt rushed. But they sold out their shows. Why'd they sell out? Marketing. You know why? Common logic. If someone hears about something, if you tell someone about something, and then you tell another person, and then you tell another person, and you hit as many people as possible, you knock on more doors, you hit more houses, you hit up more people, and the word is spread wide. If it's widespread in your area, guess what? More and more people are going to be inclined to buy a fucking ticket. It's basic business 101. Nick Khan is the mastermind behind it. Prior to Nick Khan, Vince McMahon was putting on shows, and Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, they were operating with the hard cam side empty. But now, almost every other arena is sold out. Why? Because WWE has great fucking marketing resources. Tony Khan could have the same thing, but no, he would rather spend his money on all these fucking free agents. Meanwhile, he's got enough people on his roster, and he should be focusing on hiring great marketers to help market his shows in the different areas and markets that he visits. And then you can focus on structure, direction, and substance on the side. You let the marketers handle the ticket sales. That will improve the ticket sales. And then all you need to do is get a sense of structure, direction, and substance. But he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to have his hand in 57 fucking cookie jars all at once. World's End. So the main show started off with the semifinals of the Continental Classic. It was Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher for the AEW Continental Classic semifinals to see who would fight either Ricochet or Okada. This was a great match. Great match. Wrong winner. I love Will Ospreay just as much as the next guy, but Will Ospreay didn't need this. And this is back to what I said before. They are relying way too much on Will Ospreay. We talk about Jericho burnout. We talk about Jon Moxley burnout. You are running the risk of people getting Ospreay burnout. I understand he's one of your top-tier prospects. I understand that you're a big fan of Ospreay, but you can't constantly utilize him just because you like the guy. You're going to run the risk of people getting sick of Will Ospreay, even though he's been losing a lot as of lately, which is fine because he's already an established star. Ospreay doesn't need to win that much as of lately. Ospreay can take losses. That's fine. But at the same point in time, it's still ridiculous that we need to sacrifice Kyle Fletcher after he just got one of the biggest wins of his career against Ospreay at Full Gear, and then you have him lose to Will Ospreay at World's End, and everything that happened at Full Gear and leading up to Full Gear, it just means nothing. It means absolutely nothing now. Not a good look. So these two actually set the tone very nicely for the night. Fletcher caught Ospreay in a Hurricane Rana and powerbombed him on the ring apron. He was relishing in his handiwork. Ospreay was just completely gashed open. I think it may have been fake blood, though. But Ospreay, his entire face was full of fucking blood. So Ospreay with a snake eyes and a boot, standing corkscrew moonsault, and a stun dog millionaire. Kyle Fletcher delivered a nice half and half suplex. Ospreay with a Spanish fly for a 2. Both men were chopping each other back and forth. Ospreay with the Oz Cutter. 1-2, Fletcher kicked out. Poison Rana by Ospreay. Hidden Blade by Fletcher. Both men were down. Fletcher came back with a brainbuster for a 2. Sit out powerbomb. And Ospreay kicked out again. Fletcher and Ospreay with a couple of kicks back and forth. Ospreay caught Fletcher in a Styles Clash. And the Styles Clash won him the match. 1, 2, 3. Ospreay defeats Kyle Fletcher, gets his win back from Full Gear, and goes to the finals of the Continental Classic later on to fight either Okada or Ricochet. Again, great match. Great match. Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher, they are fucking phenomenal at what they do. But after everything that happened on this show, Kyle Fletcher losing turned out to be more detrimental than anyone really thinks. And after what happened after Okada's match, even though it was a great moment, and even though we're about to get one hell of a fucking contest between Omega and Okada at Grand Slam, more likely than not, that still doesn't negate the fact that Kyle Fletcher, he would have been the next big thing, and he would have been a huge, huge asset and a huge focus going into 2025. And now he's not. Now he's not, because now he's got to start from square one again. You had the opportunity to establish him, and you didn't. That's what I mean. You're relying way too much on Ospreay, and you don't have any trust in anyone else. After everything that Kyle Fletcher has proven to you, especially this year, Fletcher would have been the perfect guy to win the Continental Classic, but he didn't. Great match to start off the show. Wrong winner. Ricochet and Kazuchika Okada, AEW Continental Classic semifinals. So the crowd is still booing Ricochet. I don't mind the new heel turn. The new heel turn could actually suit Ricochet very well. Okada and Ricochet, they went back and forth. Now the crowd was fucking hilarious here, actually. The crowd was chanting at Ricochet, "Nah, nah, nah, nah. Hey, 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 you're bald." I thought that was fucking hilarious. So props to the Orlando crowd for being fucking great for the most part that night. So Ricochet, springboard moonsault for a 2. Kazuchika Okada with an air raid crash neck breaker. That got a 2 count as well. Diving elbow drop by Okada. Drop kick connects. Vertigo by Ricochet. Okada barely kicked out. Okada was down. Ricochet with the shooting star press. Okada kicked out again. Spinning power slam by Okada into the Rainmaker. 1, 2, 3. Okada defeats Ricochet in a very good match following the Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher match. And Okada goes to the finals to fight Will Ospreay. Now, the match I didn't have a problem with. I had a problem with what the fuck happened after the match. So, Swerve Strickland came out, and he pretty much said that Ricochet failed at his job. He made it to the same spot that Swerve made it to last year. But I'll tell you what, I'm here to wish you a Happy New Year. I'm here to wish you a Happy New Year. We're going to clean up a mess, and Nana brought out rolls of toilet paper. He gave the toilet paper rolls to everyone in the front row, and they all threw toilet paper at Ricochet, all in unison. And Ricochet wished Trevor a Happy New Year. Listen, I don't mind a Swerve and Ricochet match. Matter of fact, I think that's a great fucking idea. You put those two together in the ring, I have absolutely zero fucking issue with that. Put those two together in the ring and just have them go. That seems like a great match for Grand Slam. On paper, when you think about it, Grand Slam in Australia is looking fucking great. When you think about it, it really is. You got Copeland and Moxley, you got Omega and Okada, you got Swerve and Ricochet, potentially Tony Storm and Mercedes Moné. Grand Slam in Australia is looking fucking great. But is this really the build that we're going to have to be subjected to? I didn't mind the fucking promo, but the fucking toilet paper? That shit was funny in Hammerstein. That shit was funny in Hammerstein. That shit was cool in Hammerstein. A couple rolls of toilet paper here and there in Hammerstein. I have absolutely no issue with that. Let it happen. Let it happen, no problem. That's fine. But this just felt incredibly forced. It felt incredibly disingenuous. And it felt like they were trying to be funny, and they failed miserably. They were trying to be funny, failed miserably, and everything that happened here with the toilet paper, throwing it at Ricochet, and Ricochet getting drenched in like 20, 30 rolls of toilet paper, it just felt off. It felt off. It felt like it didn't need to be there. It was honestly embarrassing. It was honestly embarrassing. You want to have shit like that happen in Hammerstein, and when it happens out of the blue, and when it's just completely taken off guard, right? When it happens out of the blue and people are caught off guard by it, that's fine. That's when it comes off as genuine. But when you're trying to have everyone throw toilet paper in unison at Ricochet all at once, that shit right there is just so fucking disingenuous. It doesn't even belong on a fucking wrestling show. Doesn't even belong. I don't mind a Swerve and Ricochet match, but if that is the build that we're going to be subjected to, man, we are in for a long few weeks. We really are. If Ricochet doesn't beat the shit out of Swerve Strickland either on Dynamite or Collision, then Ricochet virtually is on the route to burial. And I hate using that word. Mariah May and Thunder Rosa, Tijuana street fight for the AEW Women's World Championship. The match was solid for what it was, but this felt very, very rushed. And on top of that, I don't know if you guys got the same vibe, but it almost felt a little sloppy. It almost felt a little sloppy, and above all else, it felt tame. It felt legitimately tame. For a women's street fight, listen, we have seen some great women's street fights in the past. And the bar was set very high. We've seen some great women's street fights in the past, and the bar was set very, very high. I am not saying every single women's street fight needs to be on the level of what we saw back at New Year's Smash in 2021 with the Bunny, Penelope Ford, Anna Jay, and Ty Conti. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that needs to be the standard bearer going forward. But I mean, holy shit. This street fight, it just felt, it felt like a WWE-esque street fight, as if it was a fucking trick or street fight from fucking 2012, 2013 in the midst of the PG era for WWE. Like what the fuck was this? What the fuck was this? Very, very lame. From a street fight perspective for the women, very lame. If anything, this match felt like it belonged on Dynamite rather than the pay-per-view. This was actually one of the weakest matches of the night. And that's actually very disappointing because this should have been Mariah May's best title defense, and they did not. They did not do Mariah or Thunder Rosa justice here. And it's quite sad because Mariah May has actually been putting on some really good matches as champion. With Willow Nightingale, Mina Shirakawa, Anna Jay multiple times. But this shit, very, very lame and very, very forgettable. And if it wasn't for the main event, this would have been the worst match on the show. So Mariah May, she took some tequila and spit it in Thunder Rosa's face. Thunder Rosa then bashed Mariah May's head with a chair. Mariah May hit a running knee for a 2. Thunder Rosa with a Death Valley driver. Thunder Rosa brought out a piñata, and there were thumbtacks in the piñata. Mariah May hit Mayday on the thumbtacks, so Thunder Rosa ended up taking that bump. We had barbed wire. Mariah May wrapped the barbed wire around her knee, but she ended up driving herself into the steps. Thunder Rosa brought out a table, and she did her patented run up the table spot and do a drop kick in midair. That was actually a very nice spot. Mariah May then took a handful of dirt from the graveyards of Tijuana, Mexico, threw it in Thunder Rosa's face, blinded Thunder Rosa, and then the best spot of the match, realistically the only spot that I actually care to go back and rewatch, she delivered a pile driver off of the apron through the table to the floor to retain the championship. A solid match, but rather forgettable, and it didn't even feel like it needed to be on this show. It should have been Mariah's best title defense, and it wasn't. It wasn't. And this is what I mean, the lack of direction that I mean. Where's Mariah May going? I talked about Private Party. I talked about Daniel Garcia. I talked about Konosuke Takeshita. Mariah May, that's like 5 champions right there. Where is Mariah May going into 2025? What is the direction that they are taking her in? I have no fucking idea. She's just there. It's like you got Omega, you got Okada, you got MJF, you got Will Ospreay, you got Moxley, you got Copeland as the front runners, and then everyone else is just there. Where is Mariah May going? There is absolutely zero substance with her title reign, which is sad because she's actually having a decent title reign from an in-ring perspective, and there is zero direction, zero structure. She is just a champion who is there and is wrestling and defending the championship in matches that people ultimately forget within 5 minutes. How is that a good model for your women's division? How is that a good business model for your women's division? How is that a good business model for your company in general? Now, by that time, we were almost at 9:30, and we were going into MJF and Adam Cole, and I'm thinking to myself, all right, you know what? This pay-per-view is actually going fairly quickly. Hopefully it picks up. Now, after that match, I was actually starting to sour on the show. Thankfully, the next 4 matches really brought the show up several notches. MJF and Adam Cole, Dynamite Diamond Ring. Now, we talked about this numerous amounts of times. The build towards this match, it was all over the place, very topsy-turvy, too many injuries, and too many heel turns and babyface turns, left, right, and center. All of this shit ruined what should have been one of the best feuds that the company's ever done. And it was rather disappointing. The build was extremely disappointing. The only good thing we got about the build was that face-to-face that we got in Hammerstein Ballroom last week. That was a great face-to-face. That was awesome. But the build overall was dog shit. AEW and Tony Khan, I'm going to tell you this right now, they are very, very, very lucky. AEW and Tony Khan are extremely lucky that Adam Cole and MJF are as good as they are. Because this match, realistically, I thought this match was going to be the snooze fest of the night. This match was actually better than the women's title match and the main event. And I would even go so far as to say that this match was even better than the Okada and Ricochet match. I don't even know how the fuck that's possible, but it was. Crowd was actually into it. The match was very well paced. They were respecting Adam Cole. They were respecting MJF. It turned into a very good match. Matter of fact, I would probably go so far as to say that this was their second best match. They had 3 matches. The one at All In was the better one. That was the best one. And then this one I would say was the second best one. The time limit draw, that was a great match too, but it wasn't as good as these two. It wasn't as good as the one in Wembley. And as far as this match goes, this match, the way that it was paced and the fact that the crowd was actually more into it, I do think that this match ended up being the better match out of the 3. But I do think that the absolute number 1 was the one at Wembley. But this was a very good match. And this was not the worst match on the show. And I guess you could consider that a victory. So Cole went right after MJF. Adam Cole went right after MJF. Adam Cole was busted open after hitting the steel steps face first. MJF tried to wear down Adam Cole. He powerbombed Adam Cole on the knee. We actually had some nice spots in this match. They have very good chemistry together. Adam Cole with an enziguri and a brainbuster on the knee. We had MJF hitting a chop block to the left leg. That was the leg that had the injured ankle. MJF was bleeding after he was sent headfirst into the post. Adam Cole with the Panama Sunrise and the boom. MJF kicked out. MJF with a chop block again. MJF then spit in Adam Cole's face. Adam Cole was locked in a figure 4. MJF thought he had him, but Adam Cole reversed the pressure. MJF was able to grab the ropes. MJF then, this was ingenious by MJF. You had Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. They were on the outside, and they were guarding the Dynamite Diamond Ring to make sure that MJF didn't use it. MJF bumped himself into the steel steps. He slapped the steel steps, fell down, and was holding his head, and he's like, ref, 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 ref. And he pointed at Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. Right? He pointed at Mike Bennett and Matt Taven, and he's like, they did that to me. They did it to me. They threw me into the steps. So the referee ejected them. The referee ejected him. That was ingenious. So MJF then took the ring. Adam Cole with a super kick. He went to take the ring. He had the ring. He went to hit MJF with it, but the referee was still tied up with Taven and Bennett. MJF with a low blow and a heat seeker. And MJF wins 1, 2, 3. MJF winning. That was absolutely the right outcome. We didn't need Adam Cole getting the Dynamite Diamond Ring. and he won without any real shenanigans from Taven and Bennett. Afterwards, MJF went to break Cole's ankle, but out came Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly. O'Reilly and Strong then hit the high-low on MJF, and we had a reunion of the Undisputed Kingdom, and Kyle O'Reilly is with Roderick Strong, Matt Taven, and Mike Bennett. And Adam Cole, of course. Now, I'm glad that they're back together. Don't get me wrong. But where do they go? Where do they go from here? I don't know. To be quite honest with you, like, with what happened in the end here and Adam Cole kind of getting the last laugh, I really do hope that that's the end. And we can move on to something else. We need to move Adam Cole and MJF away from one another, and we need to put them in something more substantial because it's just not working right now. If anything, I would actually hope that Adam Cole is actually the one to beat Jon Moxley. Out of everyone, I would have Adam Cole beat Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship. No joke, I would. Where does MJF go? I don't know. This is the lack of structure and the lack of direction that I'm talking about. You got two main event guys in MJF and Adam Cole, and we don't know where they are going. We don't know where they are going into the new year. They're two big-ass question marks. We have absolutely no sense of direction. Very good match, though. Right winner. We'll have to wait and see, but I really don't know what to expect from MJF or Adam Cole. If anything, MJF's best option, go and feud with Daniel Garcia again because they had some great matches in the past, and have MJF put over Daniel Garcia, and Daniel Garcia continues his reign as the TNT champion. That's what I'm doing. Let me take a drink here. We are halfway through the card here. We got 4 more matches to talk about. I hope you guys are having a fun time. Please make sure, if you haven't already done so, to hit the like button, share the stream out on all platforms, social media. Be sure to hit the super chats, the super stickers, the super thanks, and become a member of the channel. Thank you, Greg John. Thank you very much to Dylan. Thank you very much to Sean Moody. You guys are great. You guys are awesome, and I'm very, very happy that you guys are deciding to spend your Sunday afternoon with me, and we are ending the year on a high note, that's for sure. I'll tell you this. I'll tell you 2 people that really ended the year on a high note. Konosuke Takeshita and Powerhouse Hobbs, and I do have to give a lot of credit to these guys. This was for the AEW International Championship. And these two absolutely shocked the fuck out of everyone. If anything, these two really made a case as to why they should be higher up than they are. Powerhouse Hobbs, I don't believe that a lot of people truthfully appreciate the kind of wrestler that Powerhouse Hobbs is. Powerhouse Hobbs, he's not just a meathead. He's very athletic. He's not afraid to take risks. He can move. He's very good at selling. He's very good at bumping. And everyone that he's been in the ring with, he has gelled very, very, very nicely with. He really has. And I really have to give Powerhouse Hobbs a lot of credit. Powerhouse Hobbs, every single time I see him, Powerhouse Hobbs is getting better and better and better and better. Konosuke Takeshita, self-explanatory. Self-explanatory. That man is one of the best wrestlers on the planet right now. I'm very happy he's a champion, but he does deserve a lot more than what he's been given right now. Now, this was a great fucking match. This was a great fucking match from start to finish. And the crowd was actually louder for this match than they were for Okada and Ricochet and the women's championship match between Mariah and Thunder Rosa. Powerhouse Hobbs, he played a very good baby face here. Konosuke Takeshita, the dastardly heel. They actually got behind Hobbs so much that it almost felt like they wanted Hobbs to win. And you know what? Part of me kind of wanted Hobbs to win too, but I knew that wasn't going to happen because you're not going to take the title off Konosuke Takeshita now. Takeshi's not losing that championship until the springtime. Takeshi's holding that championship a solid amount of time. So Hobbs, he was in control early until Takeshita delivered a nice knee buster on the apron. Takeshita, he worked on the knee. We had a nice crossbody by Hobbs, rapid-fire clotheslines in the corner, and a nice power slam for a 2. Takeshita with the cradle tombstone for a 2. We had some back-and-forth lariats. We had a German suplex by Takeshita. Snap power slam by Hobbs. Big lariat turned Takeshita inside out. That got a 2 count. We had a chop block to the knee by Takeshita. And a blue thunder bomb. Hobbs kicked out at 1. Hobbs hyping himself up. Hobbs went up. Takeshita followed. Hobbs' knee gave out slightly. And Takeshita inevitably delivered a nice superplex to Hobbs. Then we had the big diving senton. Takeshita got the senton. He went for the V-trigger. But Hobbs countered it into a beautiful spine buster. Beautiful spine buster by Hobbs. 1, 2, Takeshita kicked out. Crowd was chanting AEW, AEW. Takeshita was up. Hobbs followed. Hobbs with a power slam off the top. The crowd was chanting, "This is awesome." Hobbs, he took the knee brace off because he was trying to prevent swelling in his knee. This allowed Konosuke Takeshita to deliver a big forearm, a V-trigger, the front guillotine, and then he delivered the spinning Falcon Arrow, which he calls the Raging Fire, and pins Powerhouse Hobbs for the 1, 2, 3. Takeshita had his best title defense to date so far. This was easily his best title defense so far. Excellent, excellent, excellent stuff. Awesome, 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 awesome material. And Takeshita, I really do hope that they got some plan for him, but I don't have any faith whatsoever. Takeshita just feels like he's there. He really does. I'm glad that he's the international champion, but he just feels like he's there. Hobbs as well. Hobbs is great at what he does, but he just feels like he's there. And both of these guys deserve a lot more than what they've been given. The build was virtually non-existent, even though what Hobbs was saying kind of made sense. The match was great. The match was great. And we need to see more Hobbs and more Takeshita on our TV screens. But it's very, very hard. It's very, very hard to have faith when we've been seeing a lot, and I mean a lot of people just kind of fall by the wayside, and Tony Khan is doing the bare minimum for people that are not in the main event scene. And once again, that's not right. That's not right. That is not the key to success whatsoever. Great match, though. Great match. Takeshita retains. TBS Championship. TBS Championship. It was Chris Statlander and Mercedes Moné, part number 2 for the TBS Championship. This was fucking excellent. And you know what? If you were to tell me that this was your favorite women's match of the year, I would not look at you weird whatsoever. The dynamic between Statlander and Moné has been fantastic. The in-ring work between Statlander and Moné and the way that they have just meshed together, it's like the perfect storm. Really is, no pun intended. It's like the perfect storm. Moné and Statlander, excellent, 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 excellent material. Now the outcome can be debated. How you doing, Raging Girl Gamer? Greatly appreciate you stopping on by. Hope you had a wonderful holiday, and I hope that you are having a very good last few days of 2024. We're just talking about Chris Statlander and Mercedes Moné from last night. Excellent women's match. Now, the outcome can be debated. Even though I kind of know where they're going, I kind of know where they're going with Mercedes, but at the same point in time, Statlander being right there and the Orlando crowd responding so well to Statlander, it's very, very hard for me to sit here and tell you that Mercedes winning was the right outcome. I know where they're going, and we'll talk about that after we go through the match. So, after what happened at Full Gear and that great women's match that we saw, people wanted a second match. We got a second match, and they delivered one of the best women's matches of the year. So, Monet, she powerbombed Statlander on the apron, which looked brutal. Backstabber in the ring for a 2. Statlander rallied with a German suplex and a Falcon Arrow for a 2. Monet with the Deep 6 DDT, which looked very nice. That was very well done. We had Monet with suplex after suplex after suplex. So she did the 3 amigos, but instead of 3, she did like 10 of them. The crowd actually responded very well to him. Frog splash, but Statlander kicked out. Statlander then channeled her inner Kevin Owens and delivered a package pile driver to Mercedes Monet. Monet kicked out. Both women traded blows. We had a moneymaker on the floor. Mercedes then put Chris Statlander's foot in between the metal frame of the ring, stomped on it, and then delivered a Meteora off the apron to the floor, which looked very nice. Statlander took her boot off, a la Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle from WrestleMania 20. She got back in the ring, delivered an F5. Very, very, very nice F5. Monet kicked out. Monet then delivered a sit-out tombstone pile driver on the apron to Statlander. Statlander just made it back into the ring. Mercedes couldn't believe it. Mercedes with the statement maker. Statlander just got to the ropes. Mercedes was livid. The crowd was chanting, "Fight forever, fight forever." Mercedes Monet with an ankle lock. We had back and forth pin trades from Statlander to Monet. Back and forth we go. Monet then locked in a mousetrap pin, and Monet barely survives Chris Statlander here at World's End. 1, 2, 3. Another great match. Monet and Statlander absolutely tore the house down. And Statlander, if you don't know how good Chris Statlander is, now you certainly do. However, it's very, very tough for me to sit here and tell you that Monet winning was the right outcome, even though I know where they're going. Toni Storm has got this rookie gimmick going on, right? Toni Storm's got this rookie gimmick going on where she's got amnesia and she thinks that everything that's happening right now is all new, right? And Toni Storm with this rookie gimmick, if you got a rookie, then you need an established veteran. Seeing that we got Grand Slam coming up, the logical thing and the thing that makes the most sense for me, if you want a big money match for Grand Slam, then you have to do Toni Storm versus Mercedes Monet for the TBS Championship. Toni Storm and Monet for the TBS Championship, with Toni Storm winning the TBS Championship in her home country. That right there would be the most logical thing to do. And more likely than not, that is the plan. I don't understand why it wouldn't be the plan. That seems to be the best idea and the best plan going forward. However, do we really need the TBS Championship to be involved in a Mercedes Monet and Toni Storm match? Do we really need to have Mercedes Monet take the TBS Championship into the new year just to fight Toni Storm? It doesn't really seem necessary to me. And especially with what they had here with Chris Statlander. The crowd was ready for Chris Statlander. The crowd wanted Chris Statlander. They really did. The crowd wanted Chris Statlander, and they didn't get her. This would have done wonders for Kris Statlander if she was to walk out with the TBS championship. And even though Mercedes Moné is putting on some banger matches as of lately, and even though a Mercedes and Toni Storm match is going to be big, that still doesn't negate the fact that when you have a moment like you had at World's End, where the crowd just wants someone so badly, sometimes in that moment, it's okay to call an audible and give the person the championship. Mercedes Moné has held the championship for a solid amount of time. She's held it for almost 200 days. She doesn't need the championship for as long as Jade Cargill held the championship. So what harm would it have done if Moné lost here to Kris Statlander? If out of everyone it was Kris Statlander, that would have boosted Kris Statlander's credibility up tenfold. And the fact that Statlander didn't win, this hurts her a bit. And if you're going to have Moné go up against Toni Storm, you already have two established individuals fighting for a championship. What good is it going to do? Toni Storm is already established. Toni Storm has already solidified herself as a Hall of Famer based on what she's done in AEW and AEW alone. Why do we need Toni Storm to get a TBS championship now when there are bigger things to worry about and there are new stars to be made? Even though I knew where it was going, it still didn't feel like they made the right they made the right choice. It didn't feel like the right outcome. Statlander needed this more than Mercedes. Now what's going to happen with Statlander, I don't know. Does she go after Mariah May? Maybe. Continental Championship Tournament Finals. Will Ospreay and Kazuchika Okada. A throwback to their days in New Japan. This was fucking great from start to finish. And if Fletcher wasn't going to win, I'm glad that they had Okada retain because Will Ospreay didn't need the championship here. But I'm still sticking with what I said. This should have been Kyle Fletcher's tournament to win. And they didn't pull the trigger there. But we did get a great match with Ospreay and Okada. So, Ospreay came out with a bandage over his head, really selling the blood. I don't think it was a real cut. So, Okada DDT'd Ospreay on the floor and in the ring. Ospreay's leg got caught up in the ropes, and that became a focus. Ospreay, with an Oz cutter on the floor, he sold the leg. Back in the ring, Oz cutter for a 2. Air raid neckbreaker by Okada. Diving elbow drop. And Okada went for the Rainmaker. He didn't get it. He delivered a shotgun drop kick. Ospreay with the Styles Clash. Same way that he beat Fletcher. 1, 2. Okada kicked out. We had a Rainmaker by Okada. 1, 2. Ospreay kicked out. Ospreay could barely stand. We had a German suplex by Okada. Okada caught with a Spanish fly. Okada kicked out. We had a drop kick on the money. Rainmaker reversed. Stormbreaker by Ospreay. I thought Ospreay won the Continental Championship right there. We had 1. We had 2. Okada kicked out. Ospreay went for the Tiger Driver. He reversed it. Rainmaker on the money. Back and forth. Counter for counter. Rainmaker again. Okada covers 1, 2, 3. And Okada retains the AEW Continental Championship and cements himself as the greatest tournament wrestler on the planet. A great match. And if anything, these two should have main evented the show. Great match. But it just doesn't feel as important as it should have felt. It was way too predictable. And the fact that Omega came out, Christopher Daniels came out, he said he's no longer an EVP, but this man is. And out comes Kenny Omega and he hands the championship to Kazuchika Okada. He handed the title to Kazuchika Okada, stared down Okada, and that was pretty much it. That was it. Now, I am all for an Omega Okada match. I am all for an Omega Okada match. I am all for seeing those two go at it again. I want to see those two go at it again. That would be fucking great. That'd be fucking awesome. But that still doesn't negate the fact that you built up this tournament all for Okada to retain the championship and then stare down Omega. Meanwhile, you could have built up Okada and Omega without the Continental Championship. You could have given it to Kyle Fletcher, and Kyle Fletcher could have gone into the new year with the Continental Championship, all guns a-blazing, and you could have had Okada and Omega do their thing separate from the Continental Championship, and they could have had a separate one-on-one match at Grand Slam or Revolution, and it still would have felt somewhat important. It still would have felt fairly important for the most part. We didn't need Okada remaining the Continental Champion. If anything, it did a disservice to Kyle Fletcher, because Kyle Fletcher, over the course of the last several months, has been fucking killing it. Kyle Fletcher's been killing it all year, if we're going to be quite honest. And now he's here. Now he's here at World's End, and you can't give him the Continental Championship win? Very counterproductive. A lot of great matches on this show, a lot of wrong outcomes. What now? What now with Kyle Fletcher? I don't fucking know. I honest to God don't know. It honestly feels like Kyle Fletcher, he's in that same category as everyone else. He's just a big fucking question mark. We don't know what the fuck's going to happen. We don't. Okada retains the Continental Championship, stares down Omega. That seems to be your match for AEW Grand Slam in February, or potentially Revolution in Los Angeles, California, in the Crypto Arena, formerly known as the Staples Center. Jon Moxley, Hangman Adam Page, Orange Cassidy, Jay White, the AEW World Championship. I don't know what the fuck happened here. I really don't. But this match, similar to the women's match, felt like a Dynamite match. It felt like a Dynamite match that was placed in the main event of a pay-per-view. It felt incredibly rushed. Nothing had any time to breathe. This was a two-spot match. The second best spot of the entire match was when Jon Moxley got triple powerbombed through the announce table, a la the Shield days. And then the best spot of this match was when Jay White delivered a Blade Runner on Marina Shafir, one of the biggest pops of the entire night. Blade Runner on Marina Shafir. That was fucking great. Other than that, I mean, this was probably one of the most forgettable Fatal 4-Ways that I think I've ever seen. I kid you not. This was one of the most forgettable, one of the most nonchalant, one of the most standard Fatal 4-Ways I think I've seen. It wasn't even like it was a terrible match. I've seen bad matches. But this shit right here, forgettable, and the ending, fucking lame. The Death Riders are becoming way too repetitive with what they do. If Moxley's even in just a slight bit of danger, if Moxley is in even just a little slight bit of danger, what do they fucking do? What do? They swoop on in. All it takes is Jon Moxley. If someone so much as pinches Jon Moxley's nipple, out comes the Death Riders. I thought Moxley was supposed to be a badass. I thought Moxley was supposed to be the instrument of change here in AEW. Do you want to know what it honestly reminds me of? You guys remember 8 years ago, a little over 8 years ago in 2016, right? Do you guys remember back in 2016, right? When Kevin Owens won the Universal Championship. Finn Balor, he had to relinquish the Universal Championship after he tore his labrum. And then a week later, they crowned a new Universal Champion in a fatal four-way match, right? Between Big Cass, William Morrissey, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, and Roman Reigns. And I remember it like it was yesterday. Triple H came in, gave Kevin Owens the Universal Championship, and every single time that Kevin Owens defended the Universal Championship, every single time, he could never defend it on his own. He fought Rollins for 3 straight months, and every single time he was fighting Seth Rollins, Chris Jericho would get involved. Then he fought Roman Reigns, right? He fought Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble, and Braun Strowman got involved. It's the same exact fucking thing with Jon Moxley. It's the same thing. Every single time Jon Moxley defends the championship, he's defended the title twice now. Once against Orange Cassidy at Full Gear, and then once in a fatal four-way with Cassidy, White, and Hangman at World's End. And both times, we had the same exact ending with Wheeler Yuta swooping on in, delivering the Busaiku knee, and then Moxley hits the Death Rider. 1, 2, 3. Moxley retains the championship. You are making Jon Moxley look weak. This is the weakest that I've ever seen Jon Moxley look since his debut in AEW. What happened to the Jon Moxley that was fucking throwing Kenny Omega off of stages through barbed wire pads? What happened to the Jon Moxley that was slamming Kenny Omega on exposed wooden mats back at Full Gear in 2019? What happened to that Jon Moxley? Why are we sitting here with a Jon Moxley as AEW World Champion that can't win a fucking match on his own? Why are we sitting here with Jon Moxley as World Champion and a faction that constantly needs to get involved every single time Jon Moxley is in just a slight bit of danger? It's like all they have to do is pull a hair off of Jon Moxley's chest, and you got Claudio and Yuta and Marina Shafir running on out to make the save. Is Jon Moxley a fucking man, or is he a fucking pussy? What are we doing? People are already burnt out of Jon Moxley as it is, but now you're not even trying to make his title reign work. You're not even trying to make his title reign work. You're just having him go out there, take all these fucking bumps. They're having them go out there. Jon Moxley does his thing, and then when Jon Moxley looks like he's about to lose the championship, in comes the Death Riders. The same thing that happened with Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens and his Universal title reign sucked balls. Why? Because Kevin Owens couldn't defend the championship on his own. Now, Jon Moxley's in the same exact boat. I thought we left shit like this alone, and we left all this shit behind us in the Vince McMahon era. Why are we sitting here with a rehash? Why are we sitting here with a rehash of Kevin Owens' Universal title reign from 2016, when in reality, Jon Moxley shouldn't even be the AEW World Champion right now? I don't understand how anyone can look at this and think that this is the right direction for the AEW World Championship. Never mind that the Fatal 4-Way match was rushed and the ending was lame and it felt like a dynamite match in the main event of the pay-per-view. Now we got Adam Copeland coming on in. What are you going to do with Adam Copeland, huh? What are you going to do with Adam Copeland? Are you really going to have the Death Riders continue to get involved and the Death Riders are going to cost Adam Copeland? You're going to have Wheeler Yuta swoop on in, hit the Busaiku knee, and Wheeler Yuta is going to be the cause of Adam Copeland's loss, his inevitable loss to Jon Moxley, because Copeland's not winning the championship. At least I don't think so. The only way that Adam Copeland becomes AEW World Champion is if Christian Cage immediately cashes in on him, and he cashes in his contract. If anything, they can't get the title on Christian Cage sooner. Jon Moxley's title reign is not looking good at all. So we get this fatal four-way. The fight was spilling into the crowd. We had the triple powerbomb through the table. Paige ended the truce, and all the challengers went at it. The referee was taken out. We had Paige hitting a low blow on Orange Cassidy. In comes Jay White. Jay White, Blade Runner on Adam Page. Blade Runner on Moxley. We had a Blade Runner on Marina Shafir, which was great. Wheeler Yuta, Blue Psycho Knee, Death Rider by Jon Moxley. All it took was one Death Rider. 1, 2, 3. Jon Moxley retains the championship. A lame ending. Lame ending with a match that was best suited for Dynamite. A match that will ultimately be forgotten about. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are already trying to forget about that match. What a shit way to end what was a semi-decent wrestling pay-per-view. The wrestling's never been the problem. But if this is the direction that we're heading in with the Death Riders, I don't think anyone's going to want a part of it. No one's going to want a part of it. You know what was the last time that the Death Riders actually felt important? Wrestle Dream. After Wrestle Dream, everything that happened with the Death Riders following Wrestle Dream has been a complete and utter disappointment. So afterwards, FTR came out, the lights went out, and across the screen flashed rated FTR. And Adam Copeland comes out. The crowd is singing his theme song. Crowd was chanting, "Holy shit," as Copeland and Moxley stood face to face. Spear on Moxley, crossface with the chair leg. Copeland promised Moxley that next year we are taking it all. What does that mean? I'm guessing that they're coming for the trios titles. I'm guessing that they're coming for the world championship. And going forward, Copeland and FTR, they're going to be doing their own thing. And that was how World's End went off the air. Even with 2 returns, even with a lot of great wrestling, we do have a lot, and I mean a lot of questions going into 2024. Everything I already addressed in the beginning. It's clear as day that Tony Khan, aside from a structure problem, aside from a substance problem and an organizational problem, Tony Khan has a problem with the direction of a lot of people on his roster. He needs to formulate a long-term direction, and a long-term direction that actually fucking works, because the longer that he does this, the worse and worse the reputation of AEW is going to become. They're not going to go away. They're not going to close their doors. But in the end, Tony Khan is not going to see a brighter future if he continues on this path. He's just not. He really isn't. Very good wrestling show. But the vibe of the show going into next year, everything going into next year for AEW, it doesn't really look all that good. It doesn't. Again, they're not going to close their doors. They're not going to go out of business. But the shows itself, even with the fact that we do have a lot of great material coming next week. We got 2 title matches coming next week on Collision. The Asheville show looks pretty decent. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But, I don't know. I, honest to God, do not know where they're heading. I do not know where they're heading. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. That's all I got for you, people. That is all that I got for you. You, all of you, are fucking fantastic. All of you are fucking fantastic. Thank you very much for stopping on by. You already know the drill, people. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out all those links in the description. I have had a wonderful time on this final stream of 2024. And soon rather than later, I will be getting back to the weekly streams. Don't worry. I will be getting back to the Lightning Flash update every single Saturday at 1 p.m. And it's going to be a very, very, very fun time. Till next time, ladies and gentlemen, do not forget to like, comment, subscribe. Check out all those links in the description. Get your super chats in, super stickers, super thanks. Continue to support the DJ Storms brand going into 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, I am DJ Storms, and this has been The Rewind. But before we get out of here, remember the question, people. Very important question that all must answer. It's quite simple, people. Who runs the IWC? You already know who runs the IWC. Who? But DJ motherfucking Storms. And don't you ever fucking forget it. Happy New Year, ladies and gentlemen.
Retribution! Oh yeah, we want retribution! Oh yeah, we want retribution!